Right, how you doing? This plague is really starting to get on my nerves. The lack of sleep is really starting to get on my nerves. I've actually waited to try and get my voice back. It was a lot worse earlier. Started to sound like a budget Alan Rickman. So no, I'll just wait. I'll wait. We won't vlog any of the other stuff, we'll just wait. I was having none of it, so I've done all my duties for the day. Got everything done. It's just mainly been dumping files and catching up with a bunch of stuff that I was supposed to have done ages ago. Been out with the wife, been out with Charlie Spaniel. Sleep isn't our friend again, and it seems like we're getting worse rather than getting better. Where we had the hope that we were going to pick up. We spoke to one of our acquaintances when we were out, keeping our distance because we didn't want him to get any sicker. And he didn't want us to get any worse because he's got a cold as well. He said, yeah, it's just how we were. Not too long ago, we started to go to pick up and then fell straight back off the cliff again. But it's got to the point where I'm getting sick and tired of even trying to catch up with sleep. But I'm starting to deal with like baby brain fog, where you're just kind of absent-minded and it just kind of all dinged or is dinging now. All of the panics that, all the fear, can't words probably, all the fear that people had years ago when I had to have dementia tests. I don't exactly remember how old I was when I was having these tests, probably mid-30s. And it just all comes back to what one of my doctors said. It was depression and exhaustion. He said a lot of your symptoms are depression and exhaustion. And at the time I was like, don't be silly, that's just ridiculous, that's not a thing. Arguing with a medical professional is stupid most of the time. Especially when you haven't had any training yourself. But years later, looking at it, yeah, she was right. I've said that a million times, she was right. She just said in passing, this, and this is probably this, and this. You need to sleep, you need to start looking after yourself, you need to start doing this and that. And it's like, that's easy when you're allowed to do so, or when you can. So I remember years ago being put on antidepressants, and I'm not saying that antidepressants don't work for me. They didn't really do much of anything, because in my case, like, if you need them, take them. Right? But in my case, a lot of my issues were being caused by environmental issues rather than physical issues. Basically, the way I was living was more the problem than anything else. She's just like, yeah, there's this, and this is probably going to be the things. Like, yeah, you're looking at it now, she's like, yeah, you're right. But I bring all this up because I'm hitting that point again. I have enough trouble keeping track of my words as is. I've mentioned it before over the years. I can start saying something, and then by the time I've got to the end of the sentence or the end of what I'm saying, I forgot what I said at the start. I'm sure that's a common thing for a lot of people. Now getting to the point where we're putting things down where they shouldn't even be, forgetting they've even been picked up, looking and going, where is it, why is it, how is it? Or doing the old absent-minded, you pick something up and you go to put it somewhere it doesn't belong, not even close. Like a bag of sugar in the fridge. If you see me put a hammer in the freezer or something, it's getting to that point now, this lack of sleep and not feeling well thing. So no wonder this plague has hit. And it feels awful. I will admit, I confess, I have not been looking after myself. I'm run down, and it's caught up with me, and this sucks. So look after yourself. Try and sleep. Eat as best you can. Do the thing. Like, sleep. Sleep is important. It's the first thing we all sacrifice because we think it makes us feel more productive, because we've got more stuff done. And I hear this a lot. I'd get up really early to avoid doing other stuff throughout the day, or I wanted some time for myself. But all that turns out people were doing was making themselves more miserable because they were exhausted. They were giving themselves time to do something because of maybe something else would cause them anxiety through the day. So they wanted some time for themselves to unwind. But the bit they sacrificed was recovery time. Cherish recovery time. You need it. I say that as I do as I say, not as I do. Because chances are I'm not going to. I want to, and I might do today, but I don't think it's going to be something I'll be able to sustain, at least for a wee while. I just thought it was funny, kind of going through, doing some bits in the kitchen, doing some bits around the house, and doing some little jobs and that. running errands and then going, ah, I've seen this before. Just like standing in the kitchen and then realising I'd walked out and people asking me why hadn't I done what I was asked to do. It's like, oh, did I not do that? It does happen from time to time. Everyone does it. So, if I start seeming a bit crazier than normal, tell me. Then probably suggest that I go get some sleep. Suggestions aren't going to be any good because it's not going to work. But just look after yourselves, eh? Don't sacrifice the things you need, and you do need sleep. A good amount of it. I function quite well on the bare minimum, but after a while you start coming across like a bit of a drunk. And I don't drink. That's the worrying part. If I'm going to start making the same mistakes as someone loaded up on tinnies, not a fan. I can feel myself getting shorter, temper-wise. The memory's not quite at the moment. Dexterity's already through the floor most of the time. I don't really want that stuff to get worse. We just like to have a couple of nights of good sleep, proper sleep. But I've done everything I need to do. Everything is done. All of my jobs are done. Things are sent where they need to be sent. Things are logged where they need to be logged. Backed up where they need to be backed up. Little projects I've had going for ages are now finished up until now. Like I say what it was, backing up camera stuff. I've got a camera project, copying stuff off there. I'm going to bed. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. Hope you're well. I'll see you all. A bit of luck in the next one. Hopefully with a normal voice.